Welcome to Elite Dangerous. If you're not familiar with it, Elite Dangerous is a space game and based on the 1984 title Elite, which was famed for its lack of accessibility, to put it that way. It was a hardcore game by yesteryear standards, and it offered a degree of freedom that was until then all but unknown. And the new Elite Dangerous has made every attempt to follow in this game's footsteps. It's also a super massive game, because like the original Elite, it's mostly procedurally generated. It contains, as you can see here, quite a lot of stars, I would say. Quite a lot of stars. In total, 4 billion stars are put into the game to form our Milky Way galaxy, the bright band of which you can see looming there in the back. You have already seen Barnard's Loop, you have seen the Cold Sack, the famous dark nebula, and all the major constellations, all the major nebulae. Everything you see in the night sky is modeled in Elite Dangerous. This is our Milky Way galaxy. This is the galactic core where, as you can see, the star density is fairly impressive. And let's see, there should be the galactic core somewhere around here. Let's see, Sagittarius A star. Okay, I was off by quite a bit. There it is, Sagittarius A star. The supermassive black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy. And yes, you can visit it, if you like. Unfortunately, my ship isn't capable. I don't have the jump capability, but I'm quite the newbie. Let's zoom out here again to see the galaxy in all its glory. And I'm over there. HP 83247 is the system I'm currently in. And of course, as you can see, it extends all the way to the back of the Milky Way galaxy. In this area, the stars aren't really individually named. We haven't given them names here from Earth, so they are just procedurally generated in the game. But in total, 150,000 stars have been individually named and placed in the sky by the Frontier development team that made Elite Dangerous. There it is, the Milky Way galaxy, the bright band at the night sky that you can sometimes see from Earth, with its spiral arms. It's quite the sight to behold, and it's something that everybody who is alive to watch this now, in real life, will never be able to see otherwise. Okay, let's see. We have found the galactic core. Somewhere over here, there should be our very own Earth. Let's look it up. Sol. Oh, I was very accurate. Well, look at that. There's everything you know from the night sky: Alpha Centauri, Epsilon Eridani, there's Barnard's star, there's, let's see, what else can I spot? Altair, Sirius down there. There we have Eta Cassiopeiae. What else? Anything I recognize? Of course, Captain Star, Teagarden Star, but Sigma Draconis over there. Back there is Aldebaran. Okay, let's jump into the game for a second here. I'm currently jumping via hyperspace into the LiDAR system. I've already attempted to become a proficient fighter, and I'm not exactly the best at it. I've tried my hand at trading for a while, and this is how I could afford this here Eagle Mark III. And now I've become a discoverer. I've gone to explore the galaxy. This particular system has already been discovered by other people, but I didn't have the exploration data, and I'm going to collect all the data I can get, sell it in the cartography screen next time I dock at a station that is more than 20 light years away from there, and make my money that way. It is, of course, my ambition to reach the galactic core, see Sagittarius A star for myself, even though I've seen video of it before, and it doesn't look like much. It's a black hole. You can basically just see insane gravitational lensing and blackness. That's pretty much it. Also, in the galactic core, because the stars are so densely packed, you don't get the black night sky that you're used to here in the galactic core. Everything is bathed in light. Quite pretty, actually. If you haven't played Elite Dangerous before, you are obviously capable of faster than light travel. In this game, it's accomplished using something called the frame shift drive, which bypasses such real-life restrictions as red and blue shift, time dilation, the impossibility of traveling faster than light in the first place. It's loosely based on the Alcubierre drive, which, like the fictional Star Trek propulsion engines, folds space and time in front of the craft, compresses it in the back, so that you are not actually moving faster than light, you're just being pushed through space in a way that appears faster than light. It's highly technical and essentially magic. Just take it as a given. And here I am. Once I warped into the system, if you like, I activated my Discovery scanner immediately, which discovered every celestial object within 1000 light seconds. There were quite a few of them, as you can see, and now one by one I am visiting them, getting within range for my detailed surface scanner. You can just jump into the system, activate your basic scanner, and then leave it at that, but that won't get you the big credits, and after all, this is what I'm after. I do want the discovery, but I also want the credits for it. And for that, you have to individually visit each unexplored location, passively activate your detailed surface scanner, and gather some more information than you would get just from having the unexplored blip on your map. This shouldn't take too long, because our ships are really quite fast. The fastest I have personally gone until now is 888 times the speed of light. In this system we won't get to be that quick, because it's not that... We won't get to be that fast because it's not that big. The presence of massive objects, such as planets and stars, limit your frameshift drive in their capability. So the bigger an object and the closer it is to you, the slower you're going. Of course, right now I am pretty much stopped. If you press X while playing, you stop immediately while you're in hypershift drive. Yeah, you know what I mean. While you're shifted, you just simply go down to 30 kilometers per second, which for interplanetary speeds is effectively stopped. And yeah, because of this gravity dilation effect, if you want, the farther you are away from massive objects, the faster you can go. And I found a system once where I think the closest object was something like 600,000 light seconds away from me, and I got quite a bit of speed going, traveling between those points. Sometimes when you explore new planets, you may discover stations as well. So that's a 100% indicator that the system has been known before, just not to you. Here I am just looking out the window, trying to see landmarks like these two nebulae that are outside of the Milky Way There is the Milky Way itself as a bright band across the night sky, and I'm trying to find Barnard's Loop or the Cold Sack. And there is the Cold Sack. So Barnard's Loop is somewhere around my 5 o'clock mark right now. Unfortunately, you can't look backwards, at least not in this eagle, so no looking at Barnard's Loop right now. Yeah, this is the game when you're an explorer. Of course, sometimes something interesting happens. We will see a little bit later on that I will get interdicted, which is when somebody tries to accost you and relieve you of your cargo, and if you should happen to not have any cargo, in my case I don't even have a cargo rack fitted, in that case they will usually either grab it or more often try to shoot you to bits, just on the off chance that you might carry a grudge, I guess. It's just what the AI does. I'm playing here in solo mode. You can play in open mode, where everybody in the world who is playing the game can run across you, but I've found that if you do that, you tend to not get accepted into stations, because when you approach a station you have to make a docking request, and if all of the station's docks are already full up with other players, you will not be allowed to dock, and that can be aggravating, especially one moment. Which space? I really like this effect. Yeah, especially when you find a station where everybody is just idling AFK, and you don't get an open docking slot for half an hour. That's, yeah, just quit the game, go into solo mode, you will respawn at the exact same position, and you can attempt the docking again. In solo mode it will work 100% of the time, so there's something to be said about that. Oh, and that's a lot of undiscovereds. Okay, let's see. 10 light years. No, that was just a nav beacon. Okay. There we are. 91 light seconds. That's just a small jaunt by intergalactic standards. It is just an asteroid belt. I have found out since making this video that it's not actually necessary to detail scan asteroid belts, and you can see that it's an asteroid belt because you can't see it. At this distance any planet would be bright and colorful, and yeah, this is just black against blackness. That means it's a asteroid belt, and scanning it will not get you even a single credit, so I could have skipped this step. In fact, let's skip over a few steps here, just for a moment. Up to this point, and there we are. I found a dock where I want to replenish my resources. I've taken a little bit of damage, and I just want to dock, but what's this? It's 2,435 light seconds away, and there is nothing near it. But space stations are never just floating in free space. There's always something connecting them, and as you can see here, there are gaps in our system map. So I didn't discover everything upon system entry, and it appears that the basic information about the system wasn't in the cartography database. Of course, everything in this system is already discovered, but it wasn't transmitted to my computer yet. So now I can actually, for once, discover something that's really new to me. Not just to me personally, but to my ship as well. And there in the background, you can see Barnard's Loop again. That gives you quite a decent indication of where in the galaxy you're moving towards. But yeah, there's a dock. There's no planet for the dock. There must be something to discover. I'm just going to head on over there, and as you can see, the speeds are really picking up. I'm up to 14 times, 15 times, 16 times the speed of light, accelerating faster and faster all the time because I am getting far away from massive objects. The Abati dock and what I hope will be its corresponding planets are still 2,000 light seconds away. The sun, as you can see on my map over there on my radar, is dropping away in the background. And if you're confused about the... oh, let me just take a look around here. I'm at this point trying to see if I find anything like the Cold Sack Nebula, something that I can recognize. And there's the nebula to the south, in quotation marks, of the Milky Way, but no Cold Sack. Yeah, the radar at the bottom, it's operating on a logarithmic scale, so the very close objects behave pretty much as you would expect, but as you can see, the farther away they get, the slower they move, because with each concentric ring, there's actually more and more distance between individual pixels. And I have used my Discovery Scanner again, and indeed, 8 new astronomical objects discovered. But somebody decides this is the perfect moment to interdict me. This is basically ripping me forcefully out of hyperspace so that they can attempt to burgle me. Fortunately, I have become fairly proficient at escaping these interdictions, and I believe this pirate here will lose interest pretty soon. I could escape forcefully by just filling up the blue gauge, but yeah, as you can see, they interrupted the interdiction attempt, decided it wasn't worth the hassle, and I am free to go on my merry way again. Let's check here. Wasn't the Orca, probably the Vulture. But okay, it's time to stop and take a look at what we can see. As you can see in the bottom left corner there, when it says scanning, 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 that just means that the surface detail scanner has been activated. For that, you need to be close enough to the object you're attempting to scan, and it needs to be centered on your HUD. There we go. Let's use the next one. You could also target these individually as long as they're close enough. You see these orange quarter plus quarter circles there, which represent individual points of interest. These orange brackets there are indicative of a ship that is also, in this case, as you can see by the bright light emitted from it, in frame shift mode. But yeah, the HUD gives you all sorts of information, and if you click the middle mouse button, you can look around as I did previously, and you can take a look at what each individual marker actually represents, see if it's something that interests you. For instance, if you see 2 orange quarter circles floating in space, that's generally not an undiscovered object, but just a point of interest, such as a weak signal source, strong signal source, unknown signal source, which can represent random encounters. And that planet had 3 individual points of interest on it. I will go exploring that later on. Okay, let's skip a few steps again here. And our exploration of this system has almost come to an end. There are only, I think, 1 or 2 more sites to explore here. Barnett's Loop now stark against the background because we are so far away from the planet. It's not being washed out. From the star, of course. It's not being washed out anymore, and I've taken a little bit of a detour from my unexplored point here to take a look at the ring around this planet. The rings in Elite Dangerous are really quite pretty. This one, not particularly. It's got only 4 strata. They're a boring gray all the way through. Recently I found one that was pure crystalline white. It was absolutely beautiful. Let's check out the planet itself there. It looks like it might actually be able to land on it, but no, it's a gas giant, so no way to land there. Currently the planets that you can land on need to be rocky and not have an atmosphere. Now I've decided to touch down at that planet over there. No, I'm just checking the messages. Touch down at that planet over there and see what McDermott Arsenal has to offer, because Arsenal, it sounds like they might be selling weapons. maybe something I can pick up and trade along my way of discovery. Another short snip snip. And there we go. I'm going to turn around here because it just feels more natural to be doing this the right way up. And orbital descent, planetary descent is split into distinct phases. In this first one, which this is called orbital flight or orbital cruise, you are still going quite quickly. You're going quite quickly. Once you drop below a certain height, which depends on the planet, you will drop from orbital cruise down to orbital glide. Any second now, there we are. And in this mode, you are fixed at 2500 speed. It doesn't say any particular unit. I think it's meters per second, but don't hold me to that. Anyway, the McDermott Arsenal is approaching quite quickly, but still, it says we have about 2 minutes to go until we're there. So let's just fast forward this for a second. And there we are, quite close now. Closer than 7.5 kilometers, so I can request docking. It's lit up the landing pads for me. I am supposed to land at pad number 3. And look at that, this is quite the big installation actually. Might be fun to explore that with the rover, but I think I'm going to pass. I still have a couple thousand light years to cross before I'm at my destination. Not at my current destination because I'm doing this in steps, but of course, you know. So, I had to sell my docking computer to make room for all the equipment that I would need. So, foolishly, I first attempted to approach this landing pad from the wrong direction, and I'm now struggling to correct myself. As you can see, in Elite, at least in the starting ships, I don't know about the later ones, you always turn faster towards up than you do to the sides, so it can be beneficial to tilt your little ship to the sides and make a turn that way. And touchdown! There we are, McDermott Arsenal. I'll spare you the disappointment. It doesn't really have anything interesting in the way of weapons. But as you can see, we have updated the system map quite nicely. All of these things were not visible previously, if you recall. So, a job well done, I'd say. But of course I need to be 20 light years away before I can make a profit of that. So I'll leave you with another view of the beautiful witch space and another beautiful sun, and thank you very much for paying attention.